VO Financial helps people who tell us that they have incurred debt as a result of their timeshare developers' deceptive sales practices. Our customers tell us that they have been tricked into buying a timeshare based on misrepresentations and lies, including that a timeshare is a valuable asset and that there are various benefits for which owners will be eligible if they upgrade. The truth is that a timeshare has very little to zero market value, and the only people that are able to sell timeshares and make a decent amount of money are the timeshare developers. Most of the time, timeshare owners are initially pleased with their purchase. But then, after the honeymoon period expires, when the bills start coming in and the new owners realize that they are not able to make a reservation on the dates they want at the resorts they want, they go back to the developer asking for help. And the developer tells them that they are out of the rescission period, and the only way to solve the problem is to buy more points. VO Financial provides an alternative solution and shares with its clients the knowledge that the developers refuse to provide. As you may know, the Dodd-Frank Act was passed on the heels of the real estate bubble burst. Congress enacted the Dodd-Frank Act in an effort to provide consumers with increased protection from predatory lending practices. Prior to the real estate bubble burst, many consumers were able to get huge loans with no money down, and when the bubble burst, the consumers were left with property that was worth less than the loan. Congress blamed the lenders. Unfortunately, the legislation that was passed was inefficient at best. One of the quirks of the Dodd-Frank Act is the exclusion of timeshare developers from the definition of residential mortgage lenders. Among other things, the Dodd-Frank Act requires residential mortgage lenders to 1. Provide full disclosures to consumers. 2. Prove that consumers can afford to make a purchase from the lender. And 3. Exclude mandatory non-judicial foreclosure provisions in mortgage agreements. However, the timeshare industry lobbied hard to be excluded from the definition of a residential mortgage lender and thereby to be free to not provide the consumer protections otherwise required by the Dodd-Frank Act. The timeshare industry lobbied to be excluded because timeshares are sold while folks are on vacation at the resorts and are away from home. It is difficult for a consumer on vacation to verify their income. It is also difficult for a timeshare developer to sell their product once a consumer leaves the resort. That's the real reason the timeshare industry fought so hard for exclusion from the definition of residential mortgage lender. Because timeshare developers are excluded from the definition of residential mortgage lenders under the Dodd-Frank Act, timeshare developers do not have to provide complete disclosures or prove a customer's ability to pay for a mortgage loan using W-2s and other proof of income. And timeshare developers can also use and require purchasers to submit to a non-judicial foreclosure in the event of a default. Ordinarily, if a homeowner defaults on their mortgage, the lender may initiate foreclosure proceedings by providing the homeowner notice of the default and an opportunity to be heard in court to defend against the possibility of their home being sold by the lender. Like anything else that is filed in court, the process takes a long time and can be very expensive both for the homeowner and the lender. Moreover, if a foreclosure sale is permitted by the court and the sale price is less than the amount the borrower owes to the lender may pursue the remaining amount in court by obtaining a deficiency judgment against the borrower. A deficiency judgment allows the lender to chase after the borrower's other assets, including money, other real estate, or personal property owned by the borrower. In contrast, a non-judicial foreclosure is an agreement between the borrower and the lender that the borrower, homeowner, will return the deed to the property voluntarily in the event of a default on the mortgage. A non-judicial foreclosure is beneficial to the lender because they get the property back right away. A non-judicial foreclosure is typically non-beneficial to a homeowner because they don't get the opportunity to be heard in court, to argue why the judge should not allow the foreclosure to go forward, or to sell the property on their own, perhaps for a larger amount than what would be paid in a foreclosure sale. In the context of the Dodd-Frank Act, Congress was concerned that lenders were inserting clauses into the mortgage documents that required the purchaser to go through a non-judicial foreclosure rather than the long, drawn-out, and expensive process of a judicial foreclosure. The judicial process was thought by Congress to favor the rights of the consumer because the lender would have to provide the consumer an opportunity to be heard. In the context of a timeshare interest, however, a non-judicial foreclosure is beneficial not only to the lender, but also to the borrower. Because of the lobbying efforts of the timeshare industry, timeshare developers are excluded from the definition of residential mortgage lenders. This means that under the Dodd-Frank Act, timeshare developers can use and require the non-judicial foreclosure process. This is a benefit to the timeshare developers because they can take back the timeshare interest right away through a deed in lieu of foreclosure, rather than spending money and time getting a judicial foreclosure. In addition, the Florida legislature passed a Timeshare Act that prohibits timeshare developers from obtaining a deficiency judgment against foreclosed timeshare owners. So, even if the timeshare developer filed a judicial foreclosure, they wouldn't be able to obtain a deficiency judgment and would not be able to chase the timeshare owner's money, other real estate, or personal property. So, timeshare developers rarely pursue a judicial foreclosure because it isn't in their best interest. In contrast, a non-judicial foreclosure allows a timeshare developer to place the timeshare interest back in its inventory right away and to sell the timeshare interest at a profit to the next unwary customer. Of course, they will never let the consumer know that this is what is going to occur or that it is an option. Our clients tell us that they have incurred exorbitant debt as a result of the deceptive and/or fraudulent practices of their timeshare developer. We help our clients by flipping the Dodd-Frank Act's exclusion back in favor of the timeshare owner. If timeshare owners follow our process, they will be offered a deed in lieu of foreclosure by the timeshare developer. Some timeshare owners who are unhappy may be able to get their debt obligations canceled by the timeshare developer right away, just because it is the right thing to do. There are a few respectable timeshare developers out there. Unscrupulous developers, however, won't offer a timeshare owner a deed in lieu of foreclosure right away because of the high interest debt that is associated with the loan. The unscrupulous developers will require the timeshare owner to survive harassing collection efforts. If the harassing collection efforts work, the timeshare developer makes money because they will require the timeshare owner to pay not only the amount owed, but also interest, late penalties, and collection fees. However, the knowledge that we provide our clients enables them to survive the collection efforts. At the end of the process, which typically takes between 150 to 180 days, based on 1. The exemption under the Dodd-Frank Act, 2. The inability to obtain a deficiency judgment, and 3. The inefficiency of a judicial foreclosure process. The timeshare developer will offer the timeshare owner a deed in lieu of foreclosure agreement, which upon execution eliminates the timeshare owner's debt obligations if the timeshare owner signs back the deed to the developer. VO Financial offers a deed replacement service or an inspired vacation service to complement the debt reduction service. I will first briefly explain the deed replacement service. VO Financial is able to work with vendors in the secondary market to facilitate the purchase of debt-free replacement ownership to the level that suits a client's needs. As our service agreement clearly sets forth, when VO Financial enters into the service agreement with a client, both parties also simultaneously execute an assignment of contract. The purpose of entering into the assignment of contract is due to the fact that VO Financial does not hold legal title to any timeshares, and the assignment permits VO Financial to provide the service of facilitating the purchase of a new timeshare, which the client requests pursuant to the terms of the service agreement. In order to complete the purchase of the new timeshare, VO Financial works with an unaffiliated licensed title and transfer company who deals on the secondary timeshare market. VO Financial then enters into a contract for resale with this title company in order to facilitate the purchase of the timeshare for the client through the assignment of contract. The one drawback of the deed replacement service is that the client will have ongoing maintenance fee obligations for the new ownership. As for our Inspired Vacations membership, It has been designed for clients who want all the benefits of a timeshare, but do not want the aggravation of yearly maintenance fees, the restrictions placed on having too few points for the resort a client wants, or having too many points which the client can never use. VO Financial uses its access to timeshare on the secondary market and through its own clients who want to rent out their timeshares to supply the inventory for Inspired Vacations members. VO Financial's Inspired Vacations Club members get to enjoy all the benefits of luxury travel without the financial responsibility of timeshare ownership. VO Financial's Inspired Vacations Club members never pay more than half of the lowest online rental price to make reservations using their membership. For more information, you can visit inspiredvacations.net. In closing, VO Financial Services have helped consumers successfully cancel over $100 million in timeshare debt. If you were looking for the solution, you just found us.